Milo, what are we doing today? Huh? Are we out in the garden? She said, yes, we're out in the garden. Milo's eating some grass, and she has her Milo cam on. You wearing your Milo cam? Let's see if we get anything. The clover's kind of high, so we may not see much, but I'm getting ready to take care of that. I'm gonna mow the clover down, and then we have a few plants to plant. This is mostly flowers, a couple tomato plants. First things first is we're gonna mow, as my clover has gotten very tall. So what we mow the clover with in this little bitty garden is one of these manual push mowers. So I'm gonna wrestle this guy out. It's got a few things on top of it. And then we are gonna get to working in the garden. Okay, it is mowed. Still needs to be weed eated, but it was really wet, so I don't think I'm gonna weed eat. All right, so what are we gonna tackle next, Miss Milo? What do you think? I think what I'm gonna do next, before I get my hands all muddy, is I have a broken wind chime. So this is an older wind chime that we've had. And see, I've been replacing the, hello Mr. Wasp, I've been replacing the strings with wire. And we have 2 chimes that fell down. So I do believe that's gonna be my next project real quick, is to see if we can fix this wind chime. Okay, so here's my wire. Roll out a fair amount of wire. Probably more than we need. That's okay. It's easier to have too much than not enough, isn't it? Fish the wire through here. Ta-da! Like that. Yeah, and string would probably be better than wire. Wire does eventually break also, but it does last a little longer. I'm gonna fish this wire underneath here. Twist this guy up here. Now we're gonna do the same thing with our second one. And if you've got wind chimes that are broke, take the pieces. You use string. I used to use fishing line. That works for a while. You can use string. I like to use wire. It does seem to last longer, and it does eventually break. But it's not a big deal, and it doesn't take long to fix. Give it a good twist. Hold it on there. Hey Milo, you come back to see what I'm doing? Getting ready to pick these wind chimes up and make a lot of noise. That one's a little high, but that was already like that. Doesn't matter. But there we have repaired wind chimes. We'll go hang these back up. We've got weeded all the beds. Now I'm ready to plant a couple of things that I bought. I've got a couple tomato plants, and I've got a few flowers that we're going to plant. We have Mr. Stripey. It's a big tomato, kind of an heirloom. So that guy's going to actually go right there. And on the other end, we have this Roma tomato we're going to plant. So, planting them a little further to the ends than I would probably do normally, but I'm trying to avoid where the spinach is actually coming up and planting. I was going to plant one on each end originally, They're just going to be a little further on the ends than I really planned on originally, but it will be just fine. Really, no, there are rules in gardening, but there's a lot of rules that can be fudged. And my garden, like I said, is really a fend for yourself garden. So Mr. Stripey is an indeterminate, so he's going to get big. So I'm putting him on this end away from the gate, and we'll put the Roma, which is the determinate, on the end by the gate. So you're not overwhelmed by tomato plant when you first walk in the garden. So I don't forget who he is. I'm going to stick this tag in there. And it may be a little early, really, in our area for tomatoes to be planted outside. We could have, we're not really past our frost date yet, but the plants weren't very expensive, and I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens. Last year I waited too long, and then the tomatoes didn't do very good. And I have a couple of tomato cages I'm going to put over these guys. I know the tomato cages are not the best, and I'll probably end up staking them, but we're going to start out with tomato cages. So let's move down on the other end and plant the Roma. Alright, so down here, next to my rooster tail, we're going to turn him a little bit, get him out of our way, is where we're going to plant the determinate Roma tomato. And the mulch that I like to use in my vegetable gardens is alfalfa mulch. You don't get seeds with it, and it keeps the weeds down really nicely, and it can be easily tilled into your soil for organic materials. Help improve your soil. And so I'm planting these amongst my spinach, and the spinach will be done well before the tomatoes are very big, so we should be just fine. So now we're going to move on to our flowers. So now we're over here where our arched bed is, and this bed this year is going to be almost all flowers. We've got an arch with a bed on either side. I'm going to have morning glories. I've got morning glory seeds planted, hopefully to go over the top. I know people think morning glories are a nuisance because they come back terribly, which I kind of want them to do, so I'm okay with that. But we're going to plant some marigolds, orange and yellow ones, some mix of orange and yellow ones, and one bed on either side on the outside of the arch. One end down there I actually have lettuce planted. So on this end I was going to put flowers, and I ran across these geraniums, rose seed geraniums, so there's the pretty color on those. Got 2 of those for each bed, I believe. And then we have, so they're the rose seed, and I don't know, these aren't blooming yet, we'll see, but these say they're violet seed geraniums, which sounds really pretty. So 2 rose seeds and a violet seed on either end, and my battery is almost dead, so I'm going to get these planted real quick, and then we'll come back and see what they look like. Hello, Milo! Are we done? I think we got everything planted. What do you think? Well, show you what we got. We did get got the marigolds planted. The geraniums. Looks the same on this side over here. That's going to be the archway. It's going to be mostly flowers around those, maybe some lettuce. There will be morning glories, I hope, because I planted the seeds, going over the top of the archway. I've got to come back out here with the water hose and clean some things up, but Milo needs to go inside for that. So there's our tomatoes. This Milo. And if you look down close in here, it's a Milo. And this is a bed of turnips. They're coming up great, so they're going to have to be thinned here not too long. I did see a few little bitty broccolis coming up in here. Hopefully it's not too late for them already, because it is kind of warm. The potatoes are not peeking through yet, but I did pull some dirt back and they seem to be okay. And then there's some of the lettuce coming up at this end of the flower beds. And I hadn't decided what I'm going to plant underneath, so there's no mulch there yet. Carrots are not poking through yet, but see where I hold some mulch back? I did see some little carrots starting to come up, so it won't be long for them. Did not bother weeding the garlic bed. So when we pull that garlic, it's wheat grass, because I put wheat straw on the beds over the winter time. So when the garlic comes up, we'll till that under. And then over here, little bitty kohlrabies. The peas are starting to come up. And then beets. So this is beets, peas, and kohlrabi. Peas on the lettuce, kohlrabies on the ends, beets on the long ones. Milo's walking in them. Milo, get out of there. So we spent a good morning out in the garden, didn't we, Milo? Got quite a bit done today. Still a little early for most plants for us here. I kind of took a gamble on the flowers and the 2 tomato plants. We could potentially still have a freeze or a frost, so we'll just keep an eye on that. I did buy those at a big box store, so they weren't terribly expensive, but I still hope I don't lose any. But that's what we got going on out in the garden. So you guys, we will keep you updated as we can when we get home to see how well our garden's doing. So you guys all have a great day, and we will talk to you next time.